Hey, everybody. You can't make this up, right? So, StreamYard, our platform that we use, all of a sudden is not taking OBS, the OBS feed. And that's after restarting, turning on the virtual camera several times. So, good old Mercury. So, I'm just sitting here trying to figure out, well, okay, what am I going to do? Because this just came up. So, I'm going to try to export to images. I don't know if you all have been having stuff happening during the last few days, but Mercury will be coming out of retrograde tomorrow evening, and not at all too soon. All right, let me see. I know Kristen uses this. Let me see what I can do here. Slides from my computer. Maybe I can make this work. It doesn't like JPEGs, I guess. What does it want? See, I don't even know. Google Slides, PowerPoint, and PDF. Video and animations are currently not supported. Video files. Well, we can try that. I've got a really cool Lightseers thing for you guys. Let me just see what I can do here. Give it one more crack. The whole Mercury retrograde thing has been, I'm just like, woof. And then these sunspots, no wonder. I mean, these sunspots here, I'll do it as a PDF. Let's try that. Whatever this thing wants, it gets. All right, let's go this route. Nothing like doing it on the fly, right? But I did have a couple of things. I mean, we can do it without it. But let me see. All right, and then if I went to, oh, it's processing. I don't do it this way, so I'm not used to it. Happy New Year, everybody. Yeah, okay, let's get on with our business here. Hey, I can hear it here. Thank you. Let's see. Okay. Hey, Katie. And Liz. Good to see you on the other side of North Carolina, over there where it's warm. I've been cold all day today. Oof. Hey, Kathy and Arnaldo. Happy New Year to you already officially, right? You're what, 2 hours in? That's awesome. This is great. Okay, now let me see. Add to the stage. Well, I mean, that could work. There we'll make it work. This is live video, so we just roll with it, don't we? I'm glad y'all are here. You guys are the A team. You guys are the ones who are coming in here. Yeah, the solar flare today was huge. We'll talk about that here in a second. I want as many people to come in before I share this card with you, because it's just huge. If you don't believe in miracles and the universe and everything cool about anything else, wait until you hear the card that came up tonight. Just amazing. Amelia, thank you for sharing your smiling face with us. I see Melissa's comment right below this. I wanted to throw my phone out the window the other day. I was going to do this on TikTok live, but I'm not. No, not now. Had a problem with the website this afternoon. It's just like, man, wow. I'm just rolling my eyes at this point. Well, we are going to have miracles in abundance. I've got the coolest card. This is just going to be amazing. I know. So where was that? Here it is. Happy 1, 2, 3. See, I had it on the little graphic here that we didn't quite get to, but that was fun. Hi, Alyssa. Happy New Year. Isla, one of our newer members in the Facebook group, and she's coming through YouTube tonight, but she has joined our Facebook group. So you guys put your arms of love around her. She's been really a support over on YouTube on our daily fun astrology videos. So Jennifer, good to see you. Happy New Year to you too, and your precious daughter. Happy New Year. Good vibes. Love that. Love that, love that, love that. All right, let me just see what happens here. I don't know what, oh, okay. Well, that's cool. Oh, I see. Okay, I've got a thing here. All right, great. We'll do this. Yeah. Hey, Mary, good to see you. Oh, thank you guys for welcoming Isla. She's just been wonderful over on YouTube, so that's cool. Oh, who is this? You know what? I'm not even going to try to hop over to Facebook tonight. Good to have you, though. Good to have you. The reason it's doing this, Facebook user instead of like with Melissa's, if you click on, there's a link in the box where you clicked to join the video. There's a link from StreamYard or Facebook that you click on, and you grant permission for Facebook to put your image up, like Susan's is here. Happy New Year to you, Susan. And then you have to refresh your screen. And if you do that, then it puts your name up. If you want to do that, you don't have to. You certainly don't have to. You like the anonymity, then that's great. But welcome, and I'm glad you're here, especially tonight. This is fantastic. Good to have you. Fantastic. All right. Well, we're going to talk about Mars here in a minute if you guys want to. Same thing, Melissa. If you click on that link and grant permission and then refresh your screen, it should come back up. Dominic's got it. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, that's sweet. So, as you guys know, most of you have been regulars. We obviously have some folks here that are, here we go. Look at this. Ashley, wonderful. Hey, yes, I've seen you in our Facebook group. Welcome. Glad you're here. And Happy New Year. And to you and your husband as well. That's great. So, you guys know the story. We've been following it for a long time. I went to college with this guy that he and I were roommates one summer, basically. And his girlfriend was Cheryl Ludke. And they ended up getting married. They were Roger and Cheryl, and they were just about in our community akin to Sonny and Cher, if you remember that. They were just a couple that seemed inseparable. Well, time had its way, and 20 some years in, I guess, or so, something, they ended up divorced. And Cheryl never remarried. Roger did. They both live in St. Augustine. And Cheryl ended up getting breast cancer in 2004. And she went the all natural route, but she did have the first tumor. The first time it came in, she had that removed surgically. And then she just started fighting this. She said, my body can heal this. And she did. And from 2004 to, I can't remember when it came back, 2018, let's just say, that it came back, and she chose not to have the second one removed. And she could have when it was really small, but that was her choice. And she chose not to. And she fought it for another 5 or 6 years, which is amazing, all naturally. No chemo, no radiation, no conventional treatment, all natural. And she learned and studied and applied and was diligent. And, she's been with it for 20 years. And finally, at 10:30, I found out the time, 10:30 last Sunday night, right after we signed off from here, about an hour and a half later, she went to heaven. And she's out of that pain. And I will tell you, when I saw her, and if you saw the mess that she was in with that thing, it was a blessing. So I remember that I visited her a year ago over Christmas and got down to St. Augustine in time to we went to a candlelight service on New Year's Eve. And I said, what do you want to do? And she said, well, I've got this new church I'm going to, and I'd like to go to candlelight. They're having a service tonight. And so we went to the candlelight service, and then she stopped by here. And remember, we lit candles last week too, didn't we? Wasn't that last week? And she left. Yeah, we lit candles last week for Christmas Eve. And she left on that. That's something. So it's been special. So thank you, Dominic. That means a lot. Really appreciate it. All right. Let's see. Oh, there's Rob's got the thing there. If any of you want to freshen up. So Jesse, hi, Jesse. Good to see you. Yeah, she's Jesse has been in 2024 for quite a while. So this is no big deal. She's experienced. She's in just a little bit outside of Melbourne, Australia. And Jesse, what we were talking about here is there's a link, or Rob was saying it's StreamYard.com/Facebook. And then you tell Facebook it's okay to put your name in. And then if you refresh your screen after doing that, then you get that you can put your name up if you want to. But good to have you. First time. And not a first time in our group by any means, but first time to be here with us. And that's great. Love it. I was hoping you could that you could make it while on holiday. So that's awesome. And definitely Happy New Year. Are we safe? Can we proceed? Yeah, she had a tough spirit, I'll tell you. But boy, I'll tell you, there's also, you let go of life when you need to. I mean, there was a time and she was in so much pain. So I'm just relieved that she's on the other side. And she's already made a couple of appearances. She showed up a couple of times. And I asked her before, because we could have this kind of conversation. And I asked her point blank, would you try to come buzz by on your way out? And by golly, she did. And I said, then I want you to have my back as best you can connect. I want you to drop in and let me know you're there. And she has already a couple of times. So that's really cool. Yeah, Liz had her birthday last week too. And so we wished her, I think, a pretty good happy birthday. All right, let me roll into a couple of things. All right, so this popped up this afternoon, and this was okay. So let's go back to solar flares are when something breaks off the sun, like you see, and the one in question is over there at the 9 o'clock position where the guy's drawing the arrows out, and that's where a piece of the sun just basically shoots out into space. Now, this is not on the face of the sun where the Earth would be affected directly. But what I was reading about this is that it's an X5.01, as you see from this second post. Now, the solar flares, basically, when they break off, it's just typical of movement in space. They keep going until something changes the direction, which basically doesn't happen. So it has to be off of a piece of the sun that's facing the Earth. This one, though, these flares are scaled, and there are 5 different levels of scale, and X is the highest, and it's an exponential scale. So an X1 is, or let's put it this way, an X5 is hugely larger than an X4. And an X4 is hugely larger than an X3. And an X2 is, you get the idea, right? And then it gets down into the M's and the C's and the other scales. But a couple of weeks ago, we had that X2.8. Now, if you remember back in the spring, well, spring for us and fall for Jesse, that we had a lot of auroras over a couple of days. Do you remember that? That was an X.1. X1.0, sorry, X1.0. Then just a couple of weeks ago, we had that X2.8, but it was also not pointed directly at the Earth. It was catty corner. It kind of caught us at a 45-degree angle. This one is even further away, but it's an X5. It's like, wow. So this, and they were saying that the X2.8 they thought was the largest ever captured since they've been recording these things. So now we have an X5. So this is just going to be absolutely huge. It's just incredible. So, Susan, I'm so glad that you guys got to connect. Yeah. And, she was just a special gal. It's like that, except it's more exponential, right? As they get bigger. And then, of course, you could say the same scale for tornadoes, the EF scale. Hey, Brittany. Brittany's birthday was on Christmas Day. Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'm having trouble tonight, Brittany. Just having trouble. So we're just making do. We're just swimming against the stream tonight. Yes, Kendra, good job. Congratulations, Jesse. Thank you. Glad you're here. Really glad you're here. All right, let's see what else we can do with this thing here. What else? I was going to do this. I was going to see, kind of let you guys decide here. So I have an amazing card that I want to share with you. And then if you want to see the chart of midnight Eastern time. Now, see, Jesse's like, that happened half the day ago. But if you would like to see the chart for midnight Eastern, I've got it queued up if you want. And I was going to let you guys just vote on it. So why don't you vote? Would you like to just see a couple of things from an astrology chart? And I will make it very simple for those of you who are not into the language of astrology. But if you'd like to see where a couple of energies are, I can show you that. We'll do it in just a couple of minutes. And I will say this, as you vote, that it is also already on the Fun Astrology TikTok, Instagram, and will be on the YouTube channels whenever Chet gets the YouTube posted. And it's kind of the topic of tomorrow's podcast. So we can do it tonight, or we can just keep rolling while you're voting, though, on that. All right. Just drop a yes or a no, and we'll kind of go with the consensus. Are you ready? So I put in the little preview for this that I always loved going to the services on New Year's Eve more than anything, because to me, it was a real special time to just close out, transition, set intentions for the new year. And we did that for many, many, many New Year's Eves. And we're up at midnight. Since I've been doing this work, typically on New Year's Day, a lot of like Unity churches and other places will do burning bowl ceremonies. And I mean, and that's fantastic. So it's a lot more symbolic. So I was planning for us to do a burning bowl tonight and then setting intentions for the new year. and do it kind of in our way, and then a little meditation around it, and then we'll be on our way. And then I drew this. It's the Eight of Cups. And let me read you what this card is about. Letting go. Releasing that which no longer serves. A ritual releasing. A time to move stuck energy. Walking away. Leaving your old reality to pursue a new one. Abandonment. Disappointment. On the shadow side, if we don't follow our highest timeline, walking away and then regretting your choice, feeling stuck in your current reality, fears that block your momentum, escapism, avoidance. And listen to this. This is so beautiful. The picture. She has released her last cup into the sea, and her burning bowl ceremony is over. I drew this 20 minutes ago. It's time to walk away from something. Is it time to walk away from something in your life? Choosing your sacred dream, especially when you are feeling disappointed, is one of the biggest acts of self-love you can ever enact. When you take that very first step, you begin to choose yourself. There is nothing more healing or more powerful. Find your resolve and untether any anchors that are holding you back. Through your I'm in a shadow, guys. I can't hardly see it. Though your disillusioned heart may require some tender love and care, you can realign your path by shedding outgrown expectations, hopes, people, ideas, beliefs, guilt, or way of being. If you find yourself exhausted or confused or jumping from one thing to another, know that you are entering a mystical period of intense shifting and releasing old stories that will help you travel lightly. Go in the direction of epic dreams, happiness, and greater meaning. And the mantra, I walk away from negativity and choose myself in rebellious act of self-love. I'll take a picture of this and put it in our Facebook group. And you can go on, if you want to see that, you can go on the lights, just search up, Google up the Light Seers deck interpretations and look for the Eight of Cups. Can you believe that thing? I mean, here we were planning a burning bowl ceremony and it gave us that card. If you want to argue any of this, go ahead and drop it in. This stuff works. Yes, you can't make it up at all. You cannot make this stuff up. All right. I think the translation or the... Hey, Jenny can help me with this. She can help me translate this. Okay. All right. You guys want to say yes. All right. All right. All right. Yeah, we're going to do a little burning bowl here. We are. All right. Let's do this. I'll put the, one of these was bigger a minute ago. That'll work. All right. Let me step through now to this. Okay. Can you guys see that? Hopefully you can. All right. So a couple of things. My eyes first fell right to the top of the chart because I have come to know, see that little squiggly, like it looks like a sideways 6 and then a sideways 9. That's the sign of Cancer. And that is on the top of the chart, which is basically when you go to a party and somebody says, hey, Rob, what do you do? And you say, well, I'm in education. Well, all of a sudden they've sized you up as to like what you do is some kind of a connection with your identity, what you do for work. And that's why it translates into that's the part of the real estate that you're in the chart is kind of how we are out there in the world. But what if you're like Kristen and you stay at home and you've got 3 kids that you're caring for every day? That's a job. So what do you do if you're retired? Your work years are over. So however you put yourself out there is that little piece of the pie. And what this is saying is that Cancer is the moon. Cancer's the moon, our intuition, our inner guidance, our inner compass. So one of the themes for 2024 is, as you're thinking about putting yourself out there, don't so much write a business plan as follow your intuition, follow that internal guidance. That was one point. Another one, if you look over at the 9 o'clock position on the chart, you'll see 02, and then below the glyph there, 19, that's Libra. And that's 2 degrees is basically early Libra, is where the rising sign, that's the ascendant of this 2024 New Year's Eve chart for the United States. Now look, or at least for the eastern part of the United States. So if you're on the West Coast, you need to set up your own chart. If you're in outside of Melbourne, Australia, you'd need to set up your own chart because it will be different. But this is what was here. So Libra is the theme of 2024, which is balance and peace and harmony and love. And don't we need that in the world? So I just thought that was so cool that we had this theme of following our intuition. And that's what I know we did this little class a couple of weeks ago, and that's going to be my theme for you guys for 2024 is getting us connected closer with our intuition. Because the gal was right. When you do that, you absolutely have the guidance from source that can guide us around the corner that our mind, our ego mind, which wrestles with that intuition, can't. But if you want to just choose something to do and be for this next year, be balance, be peace, be love, and you can't miss. Because if you look down here, you see the sign for Venus. I think everybody knows it. It's down there. How do I describe, Jenny? How do I describe where this is? See the arrow? See the red arrow down there at about the almost 7 o'clock position? That's Sagittarius. And you see Venus, the sign, like the feminine sign, right next to it. All right. So that's what's called a sextile angle. It's a 60-degree angle back up to where we saw Libra up there at 9 o'clock. And that's a powerful relationship between those two. And what that means is just another emphasis of that. And the piece of real estate that Venus is in the chart is communication. So that's where it is just very much about speaking out love this year. Been doing it on the podcast for about a year and a half, probably. I love you. I love you and you and you, and I'm so glad you're here. And to be able to just unapologetically, like no holes barred, no agenda. I love you. I am loving awareness. I love everything I'm aware of. That's our theme for this year. Now, the coin has two sides. And when we look at the shadow side, three things appear. Let's start at the bottom, 6 o'clock position. That's Mars. And we're talking about the shadow, and we're talking about also the collective. Now, Robert Glasscock, the guy that I do the Old Soul, New Soul astrology podcast with, did a course for Kepler College in late 2017. And he talked about this very thing, that there is an aspect coming this fall that he has had his eye on for the last 5 years. And this chart emphasizes that aspect. I didn't put it in there because that gets more in the weeds than I wanted to. But what it basically means is that what Robert identified was the possibility. I'll just put it out there. I'll just put it out there. The possibility of civil war or division toward the end of this year in the United States natal chart, which of course is July 4th, 1776. That bottom piece of real estate at the chart, right there at the 6 o'clock position, is called the nadir, or the Emum Coeli. And it basically is sitting right on the cusp of the piece of real estate, the fourth house, the next one over to the right there, that is all about home. So you're not improper by saying that Mars, the planet of conflict and war, is sitting right next to the home land. So we'll be watching, basically. We've had our eye on it for 5 years. It's no surprise. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen. These things are possibilities, not absolutes, but it is something to have an eye on. Another theme that emphasizes that is if you go up to the right and look at the box on the right-hand side, that's in that seventh house. That's the same place where Robert's aspect, where Robert was looking at, happens in that same place. And in astrology, the seventh house is where we talk about relationships. So your marriage is in there. My relationship with Robert is in there because it has become a business relationship. We sell courses and share revenue and this kind of thing. Well, what happens when a partnership goes south? It can turn to war. So the flip side, the shadow side of the seventh house area, that piece of real estate on the right side, is conflict, war. And the north node, that horseshoe shape that has the box around it, we've been talking about that a lot on the podcasts, is basically you can trace it back in a lot of the major past wars in the United States, correlate to that. It's in Aries. It's that conflict sign. And it and Mars down there at the bottom are tied together. And then I thought it was interesting because the moon over on the left side is in the sign of Virgo. And that's fine. I mean, that's an earth sign. It's balanced, but it's in the 12th house. And Mark Edmund Jones wrote a book that's hard to find now, but it's on horary astrology. And he described these houses, these pieces of real estate where things happen in our lives, very effectively. And his opening line of the 12th house is secret sorrows and self-undoings. And a lot of people look at it as completions, endings. So there's your shadow. If we go back, your positives are the top of the chart, the intuition, the 9 o'clock position, the balance, the harmony, the peace, the love, Venus down there in that third area of communication, just saying I love you. Those are the drum beats that are going to get us through for this year as we go through whatever it is that we're going to go through. We've got a big eclipse coming up in April. We have Jupiter and Uranus will be coming together, and we'll be talking about all of that. And then the fall is exactly what we just mentioned. And of course, we have what is shaping up already to be a contentious election. So we'll play it out. I mean, those are where the energies fall, and that's two sides of the coin. I finally found my quarter. Oh, did I lose it again? Nope. I finally found this. It's like silly example, but you always have to look at both sides. And that's what a lot of people don't do when they're looking at this stuff. And you have to be aware. And that's what we're about here, is picking the high timeline side. And we're going to stay on the positive side of this. And we're going to be the lighthouse on the shore in St. Augustine that ships used to rely upon to make sure that they didn't come running up into the harbor. So that's what we'll be doing. All right. So let me get caught up with some of your comments here. Let me just see here. Yes, it is different, Jesse. It is. And that's why we all really need to cast our own charts for where we are. Vulnerability is authentic self-expression. Yeah, that I love you, right? just saying, hey, I'm sharing love, and that's what I'm about, and that's what I'm going to be doing this year. And yeah, good, awesome, good, Ashley, nice, and happy New Year to you as well, Lydia. Good to have you with us. Is this your first time? Sorry about the picture quality. We've just been having trouble all night tonight, but we're making it. We're just rolling on. Sophie, good to see you. Good to see you. Kathleen, good to see you as well. Yeah, it's a big old grand trine. Choose the reality you want to see. All right. If you guys have some paper, we're going to get to this part of it. I'll catch up on these comments, but if you have paper and pen nearby, I would say grab it. That would be a needed thing here. Balance and love. Yay. Oh, you'll make it just fine, Brittany. Choose love. See, you can't go wrong. All right. Yeah. If you have some paper, here's a little exercise, and we'll just go through this pretty quickly. I already did it this afternoon because I wanted to not be doing it while we were right in the middle of this. That what I do is I write down I write it small because I don't want to magnify the energy. But if you have a piece of paper that you can tear off and just think for a minute of some things that come to mind. And a lot of you have said earlier that you've already done this, and that's fantastic. But just think of things that you would like to not be with you a year from now, that you'd like to release, just like our card said. And then what I do is, because they're small, I just fold them up, little crinkle them up. So I came up with several, and then like sometimes I'll put them in my, like put them in here. So I just got a few, and I'm, do that. So what I thought we could do here for just a couple of minutes, we're not going to burn anything tonight. I'm not. I'm going to dump them I think I'll either flush them or I will bury them outside. We'll see. One of the two. It's cold outside, so likely they're going to hit the flusher. But just think of some things that, like, if you could say, that's just no longer part of me for this next year. Things that you just like to let go. And they might be easy. Some might be easy. Some might be hard. And we won't spend a lot of time on this. So just jot down a couple of the things that come to mind quickly. I'll read this card through as you're doing that. Oh, and one thing else that I do then is I write those things. Now, this is me. This is my little process. It's not right or wrong, but then I write those things down in my journal. And then the part B of the exercise is the shift. And this is where I capture the shift is in here. And that's usually the opposite direction. I'll just read through this again, some of the highlights of this card. Letting go. Releasing that which no longer serves you. And if you don't have any paper, you can just do these in the notes on your phone, or you can just think of a couple of things. I mean, there's no right or wrong. This is just one process. Releasing that which no longer serves. Doing it as a ritual. Great thing to do on New Year's Day. A time to move stuck energy. Got anything stuck? Leaving your old reality to pursue a new one. Abandonment. Disappointment. She has released her last cup into the sea. What would you release into the sea if we were at the beach? Her burning bowl ceremony is over. Is it time to walk away from something in your life? Jot it down. Choosing your sacred dream, especially when you're feeling disappointed. One of the biggest acts of self-love you can enact. When you take that very first step, you've chosen yourself. Maybe that's another theme for us this year, is choosing ourselves over the expectations of the collective, whatever that is. That's another one of those things that comes up in the astrology with Pluto moving into the sign of Aquarius. Is going to be this battle between authoritarian control and individuality. I want to do it my way. No, we want you to do it our way. And that's going to be battled out over technology or through technology. So we look for little ways to step up for ourselves. We don't beat to the drums of others so much coming up. Ashley, probably just capture what you remember, just recollect what you can in the journal. Good to see you, Jennifer. Sarah, have we seen you before? Maybe first time? Oh, great. Great. Yeah, I did one time. It wasn't winter because I couldn't have gotten up there. But one time I did a little ceremony like this up on top of Independence Pass in Colorado, about 14,000 feet. I was very careful how I burned because that's like very tender. So, yeah. Yeah, that's great. Nice. Good choice, Melissa. Good choice, choosing herself. All right, let's do this part of it. If you were able to capture those, jot down what replaces it, because the universe always fills vacuums, right? So when we release things and we let go of things out of our life, there's a void, there's an emptiness there, a purged emptiness, a good emptiness. We got to fill it, and it's up to us how we're going to fill it. Usually, for me, a lot of things are the opposite of what I wrote down as the release. So you can just think of, real quick, think of what the opposites of those would be. If you have something to jot those down, you can use the same piece of paper. And some of them may parallel what we just looked at in that chart too, those same energies, like I wrote down some things that were not, that were keeping me from fully experiencing I am loving awareness all the time. Well, that would be obviously moving in that direction of love and peace and harmony and balance. That's just a beautiful, beautiful thing to be focusing on. And now let's go into, if you have a candle there too, you might want to light one. If you haven't already, you probably already have, to start the space out. I'm glad that it does feel good, Katie. This card is so depictive, so accurate of that when we choose ourselves, there really is a good feeling that goes with it. Glad you're here. Happy New Year. Here's some that Brittany wrote down. Yeah. Like really letting go, right, Brittany? Overthinking things. I think that's for all of us. We're going to be focusing on that around here this year. I got inspired by that thing we did a few weeks ago. It's like, yeah, we need to really be focusing on that because it truly is. It truly is. If you get that, that's the short, you know how they talk about hacks these days? Like this hack. If you want a shortcut to high timeline living, it's living by intuition. It truly is. And just doing it, not arguing with it. Love and grace. Boy, and you've got some practice ground down there on I-95. Oh, boy. Yeah, it is a very good mantra. Thanks, Jenny. That's excellent. That's great. Melissa, releasing a person. You can drop yours in if you want to. Absolutely. Not sure what. Well, like number one, do you need to replace them? This might be a really good year to kind of be cruising along a little bit more solo rather than, there are sometimes you expand out and there are sometimes you contract back in. And maybe this is a time that you need to just spend a little more time without that influence. So the time and space that person would have occupied, the energy that you would have given that person is replaced by you reflecting silently by yourself, like Melissa was doing. So like she said tonight, instead of being out on the party, you're at home and you're just being silent and still and in this space, working on you instead. There's value to that. And there's value to our friends. It's a balance. It's a Libra balance. We have to get it right. We have to dance that line. And sometimes we have to play with that line. It's not always easy to tell what's best. And it changes. Oh, good, Francis. Glad you made it by. Thanks. Have fun and be safe out there. Glad you were here. Candle lit. Self-love. A big you year. There you go. Happy you year, everybody. Let's make that our theme the rest of the time. These are great comments, guys. Thanks. Focus on ourselves. Yeah. All right. You guys are getting it for sure. All right. Let's just let's focus in on those opposites. If you can think of your releasing, if you wrote them earlier, or if you have them jotted down, just look at your list. This is an exercise. I mean, this is like us doing this tonight. You can obviously continue this after we're through, or you can do this again tomorrow. This can be a process. It's just a great New Year's Eve exercise. So just look through your list. Here's a question somebody was asking. How do we do this? Kindness, love, and compassion, but how do we do this when people treat us so poorly? And I know people treat us poorly so much more now. I'd like to come back to this. So we'll, if kind of in the afterglow, if we take a few minutes after our meditation. But for those who need to go and want to go out and, have plans, I'd like to just go ahead and Melissa says, send them more, protect yourself, and then move away. We'll come back and talk. We'll come back to that question. But just think of your list That's a great thought. I appreciate you asking that because it's big these days. And just spend a minute thinking about the opposite sides of those points. And then if we were to just join in a meditation together, first of all, feel the group energy. Powerful group tonight. Thank you for being here. You guys are awesome, and you're committed, and you're A-team players, and you are on your highest timelines. Just to make time for this tonight. So thank you for that. Thank you for caring enough about you to set some of the other aside. That's huge. And I love you, and I appreciate you. So think of the collective energy of just sharing with like minds and like souls and hearts. And then focusing on you. Happy You Year. Following your intuition, like not moving until you get it. I've got a big decision ahead of me in the next few weeks. I'm going to be going to another state for a couple of weeks after I complete this, all the corrections and everything, the tweaking of this book. I've got it narrated, and then I'm going to go out and take a look at something that could be pivotal. You don't think I'm going to not follow intuition on it? Whatever it says, I have no agenda. Whatever it says. That's the lesson I learned in the Aspen years, was just follow it. Don't argue with it. So think of the opposites of those releasings. Then see yourself as the new behaviors, the new patterns, the new habits, the new ways of being. And if they have themes of love and balance and harmony and peace, all the better. Because that's the energy of this year for us. Steady on. And then ask yourself the question, like we heard a couple of weeks ago, what would it take in order to have that manifest in your life? What would have to happen? What would really have to happen? Is that hard? Or is that, no big deal. I can do this. I can release that. I don't need that. Or is it, going to be tough, but I'm game. Needs to go. The 8 of Cups, the last bowl has been launched out into the sea. The burning is over. Time to make the changes. And like Katie said, how does it make you feel, the other side of the chart, the other side of the issues? How does it make you feel to let something go here and replace it with what you are replacing it with? How does that feel? Is that not just beautiful in and of itself? Higher timeline, one more notch up the rung. Bit by bit we go. I came across something reading the other morning I'd like to just share with you as we're in our meditation. This is stuff you already know, but it just is good to revisit, especially tonight in this context. Think of a vast energy that, as Wallace Wattles said, permeates every space of the universe. A thinking stuff, a formless substance, an energy that's everywhere. That is our highest source. That is the all that is. That is God, if you want to say that. Some people don't. Whatever term you would slug in for that to represent highest power. And just imagine, this actually came from Dr. David R. Hawkins, who many of you know wrote the infamous book, Power versus Force, was a levels of energy predecessor. And that substance operates from energies. And you're a dot in the field. So am I. We are all just a participant in the grid. And what energy you put into that field is what that field gives you back in everything. So if you put fear into that field, it has no choice but to give you the results of fear back. If you put anger and frustration, revenge into the field gives it back. If you put loving awareness into the field at all times, the field gives it back. And just let that image soak. A vast, interconnected field and space. And every drop of everything that we put into it, it absorbs and reflects. It's really pretty simple. And that's what tonight is all about. Choosing what we're going to put into that field over the next year. I've heard many people say that if you look at your life right now, it's basically the sum of what you've been putting into the field for the last 12 to 18 months. So as we make this pivot, we begin the new year, we make a commitment to ourselves to start putting different energies into the field. 12 to 18 months down the line, you're going to have a different life. And this is why it doesn't have to stop with tonight. You just keep it going. And think of what your life would look like 12 to 18 months down the line if you did the things that you put on the sheet tonight or thought about or will document tomorrow in your meditation. What would that be? How would it feel? Who would you be? And then ceremoniously later on, do something with that paper that you crumpled up or however you did it to dispose of it. Make it ceremonial. And then start to replace with the new. And then let's just close picturing ourselves in a great big circle. Each one of us confident in our own skin, resolved with our failures of the past. They've been our teachers. Your life, your path is your guru. All the wrong decisions have been your teachers along the way. Quote unquote wrong. You are where you're supposed to be. All of it. And we support and love each other, for all of us are on our journey. How can we make another's path wrong when that path is their teacher? And our path is our teacher. So we leave some old baggage behind and we take on new behaviors that are going to serve us well. And this is a practice we can do as often as we want. We can do it every full moon. We can do it every equinox and solstice. We can do it every time the sun changes signs. There's all kinds of markers along the way. You don't have to wait until all the way next year. But together we support each other. So let's join hands energetically in our minds around the big circle that we've created. We've used a scene from the beach in times past. We'll use that again. Just picture ourselves on a sandy beach. Warm air for this time of year compared to a lot of other places blowing in our face. And we're holding hands with like-minded souls who we love and who love us. And through our hands, we're sending loving energy to each other. And what a beautiful sound of so many voices joining in an Om together. I wish we could hear it, but you'll only get one. If you're in a place where you can and want to, let's do an Om together to close our meditation tonight and bring in the new year, the U year. May we be quick to release that which does not serve, and even faster to bring in that which does. And most of all, I love you. Happy U year. I hope that was meaningful for you all. I'd like to go back to that comment, and we'll hang around and talk here for a few minutes. I mean, I'm not going anywhere. Promise you, I'm going upstairs. But well, lots of sharing love. I love it. We got a new term, don't we? Happy New Year. Big love. Great comments. Thank you so much. We'll go back and I see some questions in here. We'll do this. Oh, Brittany, I'm so glad you were with us tonight. That just is always special when you're here. And I love you. Thanks for being here. Dominic, was great seeing you here too. I'd like to go back to that question about wanting to give this energy that we're talking about. And then when we're met with resistance and we're met with nastiness, what do we do? I'll tell you what, it is. I'm speaking from, because I've had a situation next door here. I'm in a townhome, and it's there's a neighbor that is representing that right now. I've just blocked it. I've blocked it. And typically a lot of people react that way toward us when they are very simply expressing the pain that's going on in their own lives, and we happen to be standing there. I mean, it could be a fire hydrant, it could be a statue, it could be a tree, and they're going to dump. And we just happen to be in that conversation in that moment. And that's basically what happened here. And this person said so as much of all the problems going through, and I just happened to be there with one more. So what I've done with it is I just block it. First of all, just recognize that that has nothing to do with me and nothing to do with my energy. And another thought came to me either yesterday or today. It was a recent thought that so here's the other thing. We learn to release most by these things that come up in our lives through our contacts and our relationship with other people. It's the number one vehicle that the universe uses as grit and sandpaper to help polish the corners of our lives. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean a spouse or a romantic partner. It could be a friend, or it could be a coworker, it could be a neighbor, it could be whatever. And what I realized is that by me holding my ground and what I'm simply requesting is actually supported by county ordinances and laws, not being unreasonable, but it's grit to this other person. And I thought, maybe I'm being that catalyst that might help her look into some pockets and corners of her own life one day. Not right now, because the reaction is anger. And that's fine, but I don't have to absorb it. And I just thought, maybe, I check myself. Am I in a good position? Am I being reasonable? Am I asking for the normal things that you would ask? And yeah. So the only other thing is get upset. Well, then I'm being a little gritty and there's some polish that's needed. And you say, I'm not intending to do it. I'm not out there seeking it. But if that's what's happening, well, okay, then I'm being used in a way. And maybe one day she'll reflect on it positively. And that's her choice. And I have nothing to do with that. So you just separate it. Now, if it's energy that you're around all the time, then obviously that's a harder to deal with situation, especially if it's domestic and it's right there with you. And that's where you have to, like we were talking about the theme of intuition, you have to go into your own heart, your own soul, and find the answers. And that's where the direction will come for you. I know what my choices are is, and this tends to progress as we get older, that I would not participate in sharing that space. You know, if it's come to that point, it's kind of like with Cheryl, it had come to the point of irreversibility. So death was a grace. And that's where we look at relationships and we realize if it's close in, this thing is not going to be loving awareness and I'm around it all the time and it affects me heavily, then it's best to just bring it to a close. If it's not going to change, unless your intuition tells you, no, stay in, there's something else, then you stay in, follow it. So I hope maybe that helps a little bit there. Jenny, this is the number one thing is protecting your own energy. And it's like, not saying that we don't have tough experiences. We all do. I think about somebody, I've got a couple of friends that are flight attendants. And think about what that would be like to go to work and deal with grumpy people all day long. It'd be a tough job. And a lot of people in service areas like that, restaurant workers, etc. It's got to be tough. But that's how they make their living. The guy that I produced the TV show with, Bob, who lives in Atlanta, he's 88 now. His daughter's been with Delta for 35 years, I think. She's not going anywhere. She handles it well. She knows how to manage it. But see, that maybe that's her path. Her path is her teacher, guru. And maybe she's learned things that her soul needed to learn on that little tube flying around all over the world. So this is where we can't project one thing. These are custom clothes. It's not a one fits all. So you can't say what this person needs over here is what you need over there for you. And that's where we have to get into the intuitive part, because the intuition can see around the corner. It knows the future. It is infinite. It is that field. It's tapping into that energy. And that's where we get our best guidance. And if it says stay in the tough game, to be in the tough game for a while, then we hold our breath and we stay in there. And we up the ways that we have tools to be able to protect our energy. And we offset it. And that's part of our growth. That's our guru. That's the teaching that we needed at that point for our soul. For somebody else, it might be, I'm sorry, I just can't be around that energy. Namaste. Good luck. I wish you the best. No hard feelings. And that's the right path. But that all comes from learning inside. I hope that makes sense. Well, this has been wonderful. And you guys are just so amazing. I'm sorry for the technical glitches tonight. None of this was supposed to happen. I've got everything set up right. And yet it just decided to be wonky on us. So anyway, we made it through. We made it through just fine. And all is well. And I hope you guys have some really cool plans for yourselves tomorrow. And we really have created a new theme here, that this is about you, and that you are going to put yourself first, and that tomorrow is going to be a day of just resetting, and Mercury comes out of retrograde when you go to bed tomorrow night or thereabouts, dinner time for a lot of you. And it will be a really good day to just take it easy and work on this stuff some more. Do a vision board, put some thoughts down, some good ideas for what's coming for this year ahead. Really good stuff. Yeah. Planet Jupiter of abundance and expansion is now moving forward again in the sky, and so can we in those areas. So, yeah, we're going to wrap it up. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I can tell you what I'm going to do to wrap up the rest of the little bit of evening is I'm probably going to put on Ram Dass softly. I Am Loving Awareness. And I'm going to get over here in my chair and I'm going to have probably a little bit of an emotional closure to the year and reflect back, probably think about this, what we've done here a little bit more, maybe expand the list. And then I'm going to be in just real quiet contemplation. And I'll brush my teeth before I start the exercise so that I can just slip up and jump in bed and go to sleep in that state of closure and anticipation and in that balance. And I'll just namaste as I go to sleep. That's what I'm going to do. And it won't be at midnight. It'll be long before that. So, all right, you guys, I love you. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And so glad that so many of you are here tonight. And just thank you so much. Happy New Year. And we'll see you on the podcasts. There, like I said, there's a fun astrology for tomorrow. And I've got some subconscious stuff that we're going to be kicking off. And so just love seeing all your wonderful faces. So. Love you too, Brittany. Tell Anderson hello for all of us, Jenny. All right, you guys. Namaste. Happy New Year. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.